As you sort of said in the last one as well, like you heard quite a bit about him, hadn't you, before you
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a tough match. I was more focused on this one than I was my Grapplefest one afterwards, just because I knew how good Tom was and how good a lot of people had told me he was going to be. And a lot of people saying this will be whoever wins this will be the top purple belt in the UK.
Okay.
Which was quite a nice compliment.
Yeah.
So I started trying to wrestle with him because despite not wrestling much in comp, my wrestling defense is pretty decent when I'm on point, and I like snatching a guillotine from there. That's been one of my highest submission rate subs at the moment, just in training, just catching guillotines from people trying to take me down. In hindsight, I wish I'd stood with him for a little bit longer, because every time he shot, it seemed like I probably could have caught his neck.
Yeah.
But hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
It seemed like he was shooting a little bit short as well, trying to see what your reaction was.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, he did. It did feel like he was a little bit far out, but then again, I think I had my hips quite far back too. When I pulled guard, I was looking to try and get underneath him, but he's got a really good base.
Yeah.
I really did struggle to sweep him, and when he went straight to that knee shield, it's quite a strong knee shield, which I was pretty impressed. Knee slice. I was pretty impressed with. At this point here, he passes, and guard retention is one of my strongest points, I think. I use a frame on the shoulder, and you'll see that I'll use like a cross arm frame. I put the hand on the shoulder and kind of lift my wrist into the neck.
Oh, yes, so that's sort of chin a little bit.
Yeah, like that, exactly. And I've used that. I use that in the gi. I use it in no gi, and I don't know why it seems to be so strong. I use it kind of a bit like stiff arm as well. And then I'll put one hand on the hip to push away to get my knees back in.
Yeah.
So someone
in the like one leg, and when he sort of comes a little bit narrower, are you sort of more looking towards attacking his right leg at this point, or are you just sort of dealing with that knee cut?
I'm looking to try and get into butterfly or half butterfly here. But he does well at trying to just pressure down on my knee, so it stops me from being able to then flare my knee out and get my foot in.
Yeah.
But I do like playing kind of like an open butterfly guard, even when they're standing. And as you can see, I tried to put my foot behind his knee to sweep him there. But again, his base was really good.
Like you can see, that's really good balance there as well.
Yeah, he actually told me he focused a lot on wrestling when he started training, so that would purely be it.
Yeah. And now, is this the sort of strategy that you put into place in the gym, in training? Like, do you work on guard retention quite a lot, or do you just find it something that comes naturally from the sort of game that you're playing?
I think it comes naturally, if I'm honest with you. Sometimes I look back and I wonder why people haven't passed my guard. I've got quite good dexterity in my hips, though, I think. Like, I'm not majorly flexible in my hamstrings, but in my hips, they seem to move quite well when it comes to retaining guard and getting my knee in. And from this point here, you can see him sat on top of my leg. I actually like that position, weirdly, where they think they can pass. And because I normally get quite a good sweep if they do try and pass around the other side from there.
Yeah.
But I will admit, a lot of this match is me trying to deal with his knee shield when he's passing. Sorry, his knee slice when he's passing, because it was strong and it was giving me a lot to think about.
From his point of view, from the top, what was giving you the most danger or problems from feeling him out in this position?
It was just his hips. His hips are really heavy, even his knee slice. Here, at this point, he's going to step over in a moment, and you can see that I've got one foot behind his other knee. And even though it looks like I'm getting crushed, I actually am really comfortable here. So I can normally get underneath that leg, or as he's there, he's passed on inverted under to try and get into that calf slicer.
Yeah, this was really nice.
This was, I know this was tight. I do remember him telling me it hurt him afterwards. And again, like I said before, looking back on it, I probably should have took his back from here.
Kind of hard to imagine with the leg being caught where it is.
Yeah, that was the only
the
thing.
leg to then come up, aren't you?
Yeah, that's very true. And now,
so we were wondering about that when we were talking about the match earlier on in the week. Was it a case of you were looking for the finish there, or were you looking for a positional advantage?
I was definitely looking for the finish. So I was really trying to pull his hips towards me to try and finish it, because I knew that was in quite deep. There's another angle that I've got on my phone that you can see that it is quite deep, and his foot, you can just see it. It's pretty much on my stomach. So I'm surprised I didn't get that, to be honest. So then when he turned out, I looked to try to get into 50-50 instead. I know
this transition was really nice, and it's like a really nice entry into sort of setting up that leg attack.
Yeah, I was pretty pleased with that, especially because when he came towards me, I kind of threatened a bit like a triangle, but what about like a leg-in triangle? From this point, even looking back on it, even though it was only a few months ago, there's so much more that I could have done better with breaking his legs. But I'm really pleased with how well that I defended his attacks, because I felt completely comfortable there the entire time, even when he'd broken my legs. And it was him that disengaged from the legs after the initial kind of exchange. Once I got his foot across here, I think it was, he looks to disengage. In a moment.
You talked about that in the previous part, or earlier on in last episode, about how you've developed a better leg game off working and putting yourself in bad positions and working through that process of escaping the leg. So do you found that like this is where it's really sort of paying off, putting yourself in that position in training? Yeah,
definitely, especially this particular match. So I've got quite strong legs as it is anyway. So I've been lucky that I can just, if I can get one leg straight, the one they're attacking, it tends to be quite hard for them to wrap the heel. So I've been looking, that's the sort of defence that I've been using. I've been initially crossing the feet, like you saw, but then once I've broken the leg, I look to just kind of straighten my foot and stick and kind of put the boot on, like you would with a straight ankle lock. I find that works quite well once they've broken the legs, and then I just pull my foot back in again and cross the feet. To find
like
that
this bit still here.
Yeah, that's the defence I like to use generally, because I can pinch my knees together quite tight. Even though I've got a weak ACL, it still seems to be okay.
And in leg entanglements like this, if you're feeling like it's not going your way, or you're looking to start to transition away from something other than a leg attack, if they're beginning to disengage as well, what typically would you say that you're looking for as your next option off a leg entanglement?
I'd probably try and pressure forward and come to my knees, and then try and smash my hips down so I can break his legs and then get into a nice kind of leg drag pass from there or something. Generally, in the gym, I'll get the finish, or I'll get finished because it'll be Paul. And trying to leg lock him can be a nightmare because he looks like a gorilla.
Do I see him there creeping in the background of the shot there now?
Yeah, that's him. He's a hilarious corner. He does not say anything. He'll just go, "You're not going to listen anyway." That's what I got from him. But Tom was the one who disengaged in a moment after a bit of an exchange, because I felt I was getting closer and closer to his heel each time. At this point, I'm looking to pummel underneath his knee with my left arm in a moment, once I get my feet back together. And I'm trying to take that across And I think at this point here, I just lost control of the knee. And he disengaged, which was nice to know that he disengaged, because that gave me a bit of confidence, knowing that he didn't want to play leg locks anymore. And I think
so. Here I noticed in the initial exchange in this knee slice and passing sequence here that you like to use the collar tie as well as that pressure with the forearm on the front of the throat. Do you want to explain that a little bit?
I found that as well recently too, before lockdown, that when someone passes standing, I struggle more if they've got a good posture. So I've been really trying to break their posture and make it a bit weaker, so then I can kind of grab a wrist or something, or maybe if I let go of the collar tie and they posture up, I can sweep them. But I generally find that collar tie stops them from being able to put more pressure onto me. If that makes sense.
You sort of try to break the neck through the posture, so it kind of so they can't drive the hips in as much.
Yeah, exactly. It weakens it, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's like
and
diving for he likes his sort of under collar tie as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, like the Rutolo brothers. They're looking for that Darce. Felt comfortable there. Didn't really feel threatened because he wasn't past my legs. And I feel like in order for someone to finish that on me, they've got to have been past my legs quite comfortably, because I can get my knees in quite well. And you see there as he tries to pass, I elevate him with just one hook.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I like following people's knees with the hooks.
Yeah, your timing is quite nice with that.
Yeah, I like that particular sort of defense, just because it elevates them, and as they're elevated, they can't do as much, can they?
No.
And this looks like I'm getting smashed here from someone who's not quite sure what's happening. But I felt quite comfortable for the entire match, just retaining just as far as guard retention comes.
Sort of like been a bit of a good battle of the guard pass versus the retention, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like you can sort of see him, like he does like to leave his legs hanging, doesn't he? So there's
that's one thing I noticed when I watched it back. I mean, I'd changed my game plan up a little bit more if we had a rematch. I'd probably wrestle more. Here's my favourite entry of the match.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I did to lose this. I'm quite annoyed at that. I remember him telling me afterwards he was watching a Vinny Magalhaes breakdown of how to escape saddle, and it involved pushing behind that knee and to clear the knee line.
So it didn't involve just letting your leg break and then carrying on with the match?
Yeah, unfortunately not. I think maybe he would have tapped. Not let his foot go the entire opposite direction. I stood up because I thought, you know what, I've got about a minute left, maybe not even that. I looked to go for that scissor takedown here, but like I said, I was a bit tired, so that was a complete fail. And it's just a bit more guard retention here. I think I looked to try and capture one of his arms at one point, but it was a bit sweaty, and we ended up just finishing up around here, to be honest. But I think for anyone watching, this is a good match to kind of study guard retention.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing that I tend to be quite good at. I get my knees in quite well, even if there's only a small space.
So for some of the guys who are a little bit less experienced on the legs who might be listening to this podcast, what are the key things that you're looking for from underneath to try and either control the upper body or with the lower body? What are you looking for?
Well, I think in order to get a good leg attack, you've got to try and attack upper and lower, because if you're only going for the same thing, then they've only got one thing to defend. If you're mixing up your attacks, then it's going to make it a lot more difficult for them to have an idea of what to do in reaction to what you're doing. Like, if I look for an arm, but as you pull that arm out, I'm going to capture your leg, you're only thinking about the arm, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I think that's something that's quite important. Not only looking for one thing, but varying your attacks.
That's quite an important broad strategy throughout the whole of jiu-jitsu, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
what point in playing or getting into grappling would you say that you realised that? Like, when did the penny drop on that one?
Maybe when I got my purple belt. We've got one black belt at our gym who he's just 60 kg, black belt, phenomenal. I've tapped him twice, I think. No, maybe once in my entire time training. Like, and he's just phenomenal. It's a shame that he doesn't train more, but one thing that people say about him is if he knows something's not there, he doesn't bother trying for it. He'll change. Like, if he won't try and fight for something. If it requires a bit of strength, we'll move on to the next thing. So I think it works the same with that. Like, when I got my purple belt, I was just like, right, I can't just force things. It's got to that level now where I need to be more technical with my finishes. So rather than trying to force one thing, if you can't get it, just leave it. Let's move on to the next thing. I think the same goes with varying your attacks. Because if one thing isn't working, then you need to change. That is, in fact, with my as my guard playing goes, it was the Ben Hills match that made me change my game a little bit more and vary it, because I spent so long just playing knee shield with him. Nothing happened. It was boring. Afterwards, he apologized to me for it being so boring. Like, I was just having fun, but he was like, "So sorry, mate. That was awful."
I'm sorry, man.
I was just saying that kind of stuff happens. Or you're bound to have clash of styles, just kind of slows the pace of a match down. It doesn't mean it's a boring match. It just means it's stylistically, it's just a clash.
Styles make fights, don't they?
Yeah.
That's quite important. Like, when Tyrone Woodley fought Damian Maia, that was boring.
Yeah.
But then when Gilbert Burns fought Damian Maia, he knocked him out straight away.
Exactly.
And then Gilbert goes and does what he did to Woodley at the weekend.
That was
it's full styles, isn't it?
Performance.
Oh, that was crazy. I'm so impressed by that. Especially coming up from lightweight as well.
Oh, 100%. And doing it in such a dominating fashion against such a high-level player.
Yeah. Someone who's been in the game that long, who's been the champion. It's crazy.
So interesting that he kind of failed to pull the trigger again in another match, Tyrone Woodley, didn't he?
Yeah. How many is that now? I mean,
twice in a row.
Yeah. Even before that, when he fought Wonderboy, he barely pulled the trigger. Both of them were pretty lackluster, weren't they?
I think he's just lost the drive now. He's hit that point in his career where
the rapper now, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. I think him and Halleck are going to do a collab.
Oh God.
I'd
like to see that, actually. Lockdown collab.
But like, off the back of that, of your last match then with Tom Barry, like, were there any lessons that you took away from it?
Warming up.
Yeah.
Even now, Paul still tells me off. Like, remember that? It's like, yes, I know. So yeah, that is one thing that in the future I need to do. I need to warm up more.
Yeah.
Because I forget that. Like, do you know what? It's surprising. I've run upstairs at home, and I'll get upstairs and be like, "Fucking hell, I'm knackered." And I'm like, "How do I do jiu-jitsu for like an hour?" And then run upstairs and I'm gassing out. I've got to take my breath back, and my girlfriend's like, "Are you okay?" It's like,
just give me 5 minutes. I'll be okay.
I'm trying not to show her the weakness.
I suppose that ties into what we spoke about as well before in terms of like match day prep and routine or rituals. So that's probably something that you're going to start incorporating in now. Is the warm up and in the gym on a normal training day. Like, will you find that you'll have your better, more competitive rounds when you're fresh, or like when you've gassed out a little bit? And that maybe third, fourth round.
Yeah. I mean, my first roll of every session is normally an easier roll, and then I'll get Paul or one of their other higher belts, and that's when that's when the roles are better. But I also find that the better the opponent or the better the partner, the better the roles. So I perform better against someone who's better. If that makes sense.
No,
like when you roll with a black belt, I think it brings the best out in me compared to if I roll with a blue belt. It's like, why is this hard? This shouldn't be hard. And then you go and tap a black belt, and it's just like, okay, this is confusing. Is that blue belt got that much better?
It's that old saying of it takes two to tango, doesn't it? So, you're going to kind of match that level that you presented with and equally the same both ways.
That's true. I think that's one thing that warming up is going to help me with.
I think with that as well, like, I think a few of the like blue belts and white belts, they kind of defeat themselves before they even go to roll with the higher rank in the gym. It's sort of like, oh, you're just going to beat me anyway, so I'm just going to not do anything. It's like...
Yeah, that's frustrating. Like, when you get a sub on someone, it's like, mate, it's not even on, don't tap.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to crank it. You know I'm not. Like, try and escape. It's like, yeah, but you would have got me. It's like,
yeah, it's like, I want to see how you're going to escape so I can test my chain of following attacks.
Exactly. I want you to get better. I want you to learn how to escape. Get to that point where I'm telling them how to escape. Oh, it's like, right.
Well, that kind of leads me on to a question that I wanted to ask there before a second, just before we moved off like the strategic side of it is we kind of briefly talked about chaining, sequencing from one move, maybe if it's failed, going into something else. And like, do you find that you take more away from your matches than you do from training in terms of learning mistakes and then how to strategize that in developing like a broader game plan on taking A to B to C and making a bit of like, how would you say, like a game plan or a sequence or your game style?
I think I'll probably take more away from competitions because I try to do my A game in a comp, and then if it's not matched up, if I've not prepared myself for that properly, I can look back at it and work out why. Like in the gym, I can do, if I've done something wrong, I can just redo it in the next roll. I get tapped, and then I'm like, oh, okay, right, I won't do that again. But I think because the stakes are so much higher in a match, like on Grapple Fest or something, you can take a lot more away from it because they're putting their A game out, you're putting your A game out. Like my last match on Grapple Fest, there's 2 times in that match where I could have won it, and I could have stayed on top, and I didn't, and I'm so frustrated with myself. Ended up losing a real close decision there, which I'm not going to moan about it anymore. I've moaned about it before, but I thought maybe I could have got that shout, but never mind. But there's 2 occasions where I swept him, and I didn't stay on top. I tried to sat back for the saddle both times. I got swept both times, and that's one thing that I look back on and wish I hadn't have done. So something I know that I can work on for next time. Maybe not just not sitting for the saddle, but doing it differently. But yeah, I got a lot out of that match, and then I also got a lot out of this match as well.
And like, we're all looking forward to getting back to training, and I'm sure competing as well. Like, is there anything that you've got lined up that you'd want to do? Any matches that are interesting to you that you want to do pretty much as soon as you can get back to competition?
Yeah. So I don't know if I've got some matches that haven't been released yet, so I can't really say who they are. But I've got some big shows coming up, a couple of big comps, and then I've got Chris Walsh. He's doing like an 8-man under 75 and under 85-man tournament, which I'm going to be involved in, which will be quite good. Sadly, I'm in the under 85 rather than under 87, so under 75, but I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind trying to take out some big guys. I just want to compete. I just want to get back in there, and I'm going to focus more on my no gi than I am my gi. I do a bit of gi. I do some gi comps here and there. Like if I do an Empire grappling, I'll do both because it's the same price. So there's no point in doing one. Plus, my sponsors at Role Models cover that for me anyway. So if I'm there, I may warm up for the gi, and then I'm ready for the no gi.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, just competitions really. I think I want to travel a little bit more to train. Not miss stealth open mats.
Yeah, well, I mean, like there's usually anywhere between like 50 and 100 guys and girls down on those mats, and a good mix of players from all over.
Yeah, I got some good rolls in with some people that I rolled with a couple of people that I've been in competition with before, which then it shows. Then I look back and think, right, why didn't I do that when I competed against them?
And how do you find that? That's quite an interesting dynamic, isn't it? Because there's a load of good pockets around the UK of grappling. We've got Manchester's like quite a hot pocket of grappling. Down in Nottingham's good as well. Over in Liverpool's good. Yorkshire's got some good spots as well. And they're not too far to travel to get in fairly frequent training once every couple of months with each other. How do you find going against the guys that you're quite often competing against and having a friendship with them and using that friendship as a training tool and then competing against them?
I quite enjoy it. I'm friendly anyway. I don't really have a vendetta against anyone. So I'll be friendly with you before the match and afterwards. I'm not going to be one of them people that won't talk to you until after the match. I don't see the point. We're not punching each other in the face, so we're just kind of hugging on the floor, aren't we? So why not be friends? It is something that I enjoy. I've not competed against that many people that I'm friends with. I'm normally friends with them after I've competed against them.
Yeah.
Me and Ben Hills are quite good mates after our match. Despite Jed beating me 4 times, I get along with him really well. But the people that I train with mostly are Lloyd and Sean Madonna, apart from at my gym. And I've never competed against either of those two. Ideally wouldn't want to, but just out of pure respect rather than being afraid to lose. But
how much would you say you've taken away from training with the likes of Lloyd?
A lot, yeah. If it weren't for Lloyd, my leg locks wouldn't be as good as they are. My entries and even my defense, he's helped a lot with that.
Yeah,
because his style's different to anyone else's as well. And
and aside from technical execution and actual techniques, is there anything that they're doing training philosophy wise that's different from what you might have done before that's kind of helped accelerate that learning process?
I don't really think so. I think I just happen to get on with people that have got a similar mindset to me. I don't like drilling. I hate drilling. I think it's pointless, to be honest. Drill it a few times so you get the movement, but then I think it's better positional or then live rolling. And I think that the people that I train with tend to have the same mindset as well. I don't ever see Lloyd drilling something 100 times or Sean drilling something 100 times. Whether they do, when I'm not there, they might do, but I've never seen it. I hate it. I just really don't get on with it. If someone else wants to do it, and there's nothing else to do, I will do it. But I'd much prefer to roll and do it in a live scenario, because how the hell are you going to see if something works without pressure testing it?
Yeah. That makes sense. I'm a big fan of sort of drilling to learn the movement pattern and figure that out. And then once the sort of the gross movements figured out, then I can sort of get in, like you said, pressure test it and figure out the micro transitions and figure the finer details out when you've got a resisting body there.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's more important for a competition scenario than just drilling something. I understand why that would be good, because your central nervous system is remembering what you're doing. But what happens when you try and do that and someone stops you? You don't know what to do then, do you?
I suppose that's a nice tie into another question that I had that we might have skipped over earlier, is in the gym, training with the same training partners frequently. Do you ever find that you kind of fall into a rut or a pattern with kind of doing the same things with the same guys, and how do you end up getting around that?
I've been quite lucky. I don't really think that I've hit a plateau at all. And I think because I do a lot of regular training with people from other gyms, it helps me work on different things. Like I won't play the same game against Sean as I will against Paul. And we've got a lot of guys at our gym that are up and coming. One particular guy, Jay Hantan, he's also a photographer as well. He's just came leaps and bounds like since he's been training like last year, maybe purple belt now, and he's constantly evolving his game. Like there are other people out there drilling different things in their own time to what I am. So it means that I've then got different things to work on. Another one of my main training partners, Riley, he's only a blue belt, but just does weird stuff sometimes. So it makes you think. Like it'll half the time it won't work. It'll be halfway rolling off the mat because he's tried to go for a wrong toe, but forgot to go with your foot. But sometimes it does work. End up in a fucking triangle or something, and everyone will see him. But Shane's not going to tap. You're not getting him.
Do you do any coaching now, and is that something that you want to get into more over the coming years?
I do more privates than I do coaching classes. If I need to cover classes, then I will always do it. But I like to I think I'm just focusing a bit more on my own competition training at the moment. I used to teach kids classes. I did that for probably almost 2 years, but I just thought it was taken away from my training.
Yeah.
So I decided to hit that on the head just for now. So I focus on my own training. I can do my strength and conditioning comfortably then without having to worry about making it on time for the kids' classes, thinking about what I'm going to teach them, then getting frustrated because the kids are running around throwing exercise balls at each other. So, yeah, I definitely want to coach, and it will be something I'll look to do more in the future, I think. But at the moment, I'm doing privates, which I'm enjoying, and I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would actually. I'm learning things myself. Because I guess when you go over things, you kind of skim over the details when you're doing it. When you're thinking about it yourself, when you're breaking it down for someone, I think it helps you remember what you should be doing.
Yeah, it kind of falls in line with you don't really know something until you can explain it to somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I said, on the back of that, I'm sure Bon can attest to that as well. Like the more coaching that I've done, the more I've learned about the techniques that I thought I already knew, and then also it opens you up to a lot more techniques that you kind of forget about.
Yeah, that makes sense. Even the basics, you do it and you do it fine, but then when it comes to breaking it down, you're like, oh yeah, this little thing was this, and then you can use that for something else. Just forgot about it because you just do it automatically.
And that dreaded question, why, comes up.
Why? And then you get, yeah, but what if I do this?
Well, that's not what I'm showing you.
You've got something else for that. Oh, it's like Aikido, isn't it? When they go, he puts his hand here. Yeah, but what if I don't? But you won't.
Yeah, you're not allowed.
Yeah, I found that with teaching and coaching as well. It's like, needing to be able to, I think as a more experienced player, you take for granted the stuff that is muscle memory and the stuff that you've done over the years that has just become so much a comfort and a force of habit that you don't necessarily remember that you're doing it as an action. And it's something that probably gets glossed over or doesn't get explained very well to new people. And that's probably why they're struggling with the movement, because you're not explaining the really important bit that you're just doing because you've done it a million times.
Just do this.
So, yeah. But I think, like you said as well before, it's really important to get a good balance between focus on your own training as well as focusing on coaching. So
yeah, and I think because I want to get on some of the bigger shows this year, or whenever I can. So hopefully, once that's come around, that'll even help me with getting more privates and stuff beyond these bigger shows and whatnot. And like I say, I think we can start professional sports soon, can't we? And I think Grapplers was classed as professional, so
that's what we were speaking about before. Sort of like trying to find the ways to get back to training.
Yeah.
Sort of, can you class yourself as an elite athlete if you hit certain markers?
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite the same as if you've got people out there who do 5-side football with their mates, and like they are paid to do it, and funnily enough, we also pay to do it, but it's not quite the same in comparison. We are elite athletes compared to some mates having a kick around, and they're like, well, they're just doing the same as we are. But
well, I think the difference is people are paying to come and watch you compete, whereas nobody wants to go and pay to see them play 5-a-side.
I hope not. Yeah, so hopefully we can use that loophole to get back in. Because, like I say, my coach, he was on Grapple Fest. He's been on Grapple Fest twice. So at least I could train with him then, and Sean. So that's enough.
That's what you need, really. And it's need 1 or 2 bodies to roll with, and then you can get back into the loop of things.
Yeah,
it's amazing, isn't it? For a sport that you can do absolutely nothing to develop towards with no training partners, even just one good one makes a world of difference.
Crazy, isn't it? In fact, I just don't see the point in drilling with a dummy. Like, John Danaher released that, like, solo drills. Are you kidding me? Like, what is that really going to do?
So you mean you've not been doing it every day?
Well...
You see that video that's floating around with you, like remixed it with club music?
No. Oh, I've got to find that.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's what I'll use it for.
There's also some other really suspect John Danaher videos out there as well, where he's using his belt to choke out Bernardo. So there's some interesting content out there.
Okay, I like that one. That one might work.
And then, so I suppose in closing out there, is there like anything that you kind of want to throw out to the guys that are listening, like a quick shout out to your sponsors?
Yeah.
Tell us what you've got going on.
So big shout out to all my sponsors. I've got Very Hard to Submit Europe, which I've been with for almost a year now. I've got some real good high quality gear. Was actually surprised when I first started with them how good quality the clothing was. Like I've got a load. I'm a big fan of buying stuff all the time. Like I love new stuff for jiu-jitsu, and I've got loads of different brands, and I was really surprised at how good quality this was when they offered to sponsor me. I've got Kev Richardson Tattoo, who I also train with him, and he does like most of my tattoos for me now. I've got Role Models who run their own competition, as you all know. Fantastic for blue belts and white belts wanting to get some experience. I've done every single one of them since I started competing, actually. Then I've got Safe Jaws for my gum shield, because in October I went over to Ireland to compete on a show there, and the match got stopped because I split my lip open from not having a gum shield.
Oh, nice.
So I managed to get a sponsor off the back of that, though. So that's not too bad. And they also sponsor Masvidal as well. So that's pretty cool to be under the same banner as him. Who else have I got? I've got Brotherhood Health and Performance. Andrew's fantastic. I couldn't ask for a better strength and conditioning coach, to be honest. Keeps in touch with me all the time, constantly making sure that I'm doing what I should be. And finally, I've got a new sponsor as of recent, Drops of Heal, which are a CBD company. And I can honestly say it's the first time that I've had CBD oil that I've felt has made a difference.
Oh, brilliant.
They do like a multivitamin CBD oil as well, so it gets you some vitamins in there with it too. And so, yeah. And just a shout out to my gym, really, the Nottingham MMA. I look forward to getting back to training afterwards. And a shout out to one of my mates, Riley, who he started his own channel called BTEC Raptors. So if you've seen Dan Hardy, he's got his own Media Raptors. So we do a bit of training with Dan Hardy over at Hardy Woolhead, and Riley is learning to be a videographer and photographer on there. Oh, wow. So you're going to see a lot more footage. He's actually going to be doing a little documentary on me about one of my upcoming competitions. So that'll be released once I'm allowed to talk about it.
Yeah. And if people want to get in touch with you or get in touch for one-to-ones, like where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, just find me on Instagram, Shane Curtis BJJ, and on Facebook, just my name, Shane Oliver Curtis. So more than happy to sort out privates, or if people want to ask me any questions, more than happy to answer them.
Oh, thank you, mate.
Thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed it.
Anytime,
it's been great to have you on and have a bit of insight into and get a bit more background on you and get to know you a bit better. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and after this is all done, we can get some training in.
Definitely. Thank you.
Good. Great.